What are we doing? We're making a fantastic docuseries to help people realize that we're all just humans, and I think we all just want to feel accepted. I think it's really that simple. The process of this documentary has been a intensive personal development weekend stretched out over several months, and I'm not sure if you've ever been in one of those where you're in the room all day and then into the night for 4 days in a row. It's magic for the first 3, and then hell shows up on day 4. like ants in my pants, ants in my pants. It's hot seat.
Have the grace to keep on moving on at a pace that's right where you belong. In the face of all that's going on, you don't have to run that race. In the time where the chaos seems too much, oppressed don't even seem to touch. The waning hearts too tired to show their face. Have the grace.
Oh, we're just gonna have film 6 episodes of life, as well as living the life and the job and the kids and everything. It's been there's a lot to it for sure. Overwhelming sometimes.
Having to stand up and talk to people that don't necessarily agree with what I'm doing has been very challenging. I think in terms of where I'm at with my mom, who I love very much, and I know she loves me, I don't know if we're gonna get much further. And I think I'm getting to a spot where I'm getting better with that. And then I hear my voice change a little bit. I'm like, how are you really? But where do we find acceptance? And so that's probably my greatest lesson in this whole journey, is knowing that there's always gonna be pain, and there's always gonna be things to celebrate. It's part of being human, but it's my life to live, and I must live it.
It's been really challenging for me to really pinpoint exactly how I feel about certain things, because a lot of what happens with me and Kyler happens just privately in our house and discussions, and so making those public seem really big. And so trying to figure out, what do I share, what do I keep just private between us, and those kinds of things have been a little bit challenging.
What is being a man has been a great question throughout my transition, and talking with Dr. Hannon. And he said I would be done my transition when I could define that for myself. And then that made me mad. He's like, well, I already know. But do we?
My name is Neil Hannon. I'm a psychiatrist, physician, and I have the qualifications of a psychiatrist in Canada, which I am a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada with specialist certification in psychiatry. I'm also assistant clinical professor at the University of British Columbia, Year 3 director of the Southern Medical Program. I was a family doctor for 12 years before I became a psychiatrist. I look after most of the transgender adults in the Okanagan, and have been doing that for almost 20 years in the Okanagan. I did that in Alberta before that.
You know what? I don't really know what the new man looks like just yet. I take pieces and parts from people that I meet and the things that I see. It has to fit with my ethics and integrity, and for quite a while I didn't see a lot of examples. Over the last 10, 15 years, definitely more so. I've seen a great change within men being able to talk with their hearts, actually hugging each other.
In meeting and learning much more about what it means to be a trans man, Kyler has really taught me the differences between a cis man and a trans man, and there's lots of differences. There are lots of ways that they're the same, but this new energy of being a trans man means very much more connected to emotions, connected to feeling. I feel very, very safe with Kyler.
Working with people who are transgendered, or the term has changed, so we call that gender dysphoria now. And so the first part in it is the word spreads through the transgender community that there is a doctor who is trans-friendly, who will help people transition. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is the person gets referred to me by their family doctor, and then my first job is making sure that the diagnosis is correct. And there are many things that might look like gender dysphoria that are not gender dysphoria. And so it does take a physician who has an understanding of gender dysphoria to make sure that the diagnosis is correct.
I think I was idealistic in hoping that my transitioning would make some of my own challenges easier, but the truth is that's only one piece of my own mental health. There's a whole lot more to being human than my gender identity.
So when I met Kyler, there was a history of medical issues, and so that could potentially have been hormonally related. And so then I had to figure out whether Kyler was able to do a hormonal transition as well. And so I hit the books, and there were discussions with other professionals, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and look in the chart, but and the decision that I made with Kyler was to go ahead and to follow closely and to make sure that everything was happening smoothly, and so we did that. Then, so once we're through that stuff, then there's all the rest of the stuff. So it's relationship stuff. So with Kyler and his partner, with Kyler and his family. And those are, in my view, way more complicated than the work that I do.
I'm going to become this new thing. But what I found out is I just get to accentuate what I already have. The transitioning just actually lifted off the Band-Aid that allowed me to just grow more of what I already felt within.
The average dose of testosterone for most trans men is about 75 milligrams intramuscular every 2 weeks. So we follow that. I increase by 25 milligram increments and see what their testosterone level is.
So he was helping me understand that there's things that I'm going to be feeling like frustration immediately. Immediate frustration if things aren't going my way, which was different. I used to be very calm and like casual, like, oh, really chill.
It takes hormones 6 to 8 weeks to re-equilibrate. And so then I generally follow people at 3-month intervals, give it to 10 weeks. They get their blood work at 10 weeks. And then I look at at everything, making sure everything is staying stable and that the testosterone is getting into the right range.
But I get to explore what it is that makes me feel male. I get to decide what that is. And nobody gets to take that away because nobody can. Like, that's something that comes from within.
Gender dysphoria is not a psychiatric disorder. It is in DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychiatric Association. It was with the DSM-5, and it gets questioned every single time that a new edition comes out. Do we take gender dysphoria out? And everybody who works in gender dysphoria knows it's not a psychiatric condition. However, if we take it out of DSM, then it doesn't exist anywhere. Then people with gender dysphoria do not get access to medical care.
Hi, welcome back to my makeup vlog. Today we're talking about safe spaces, unsafe spaces. It's not always easy to decide what to do with your face. A lot of times there can be disconnect between how you sound and how you present, and people can take that the wrong way. I think it's important to be, for me, to be loud, because it's not easy to do. And when I'm loud in public places, I think it gives other people permission to do the same. When we make bold choices in art, it gives other people permission to do the same.
So how about we talk about what kind of human you want to be? And I want to be a fantastic, great human. And I have some masculinity to me, and I think I have some femininity to me.
I think it's imperative to create the spaces you wish to see in the world. If you want to make sure people feel comfortable in all ways, you should do that.
Everybody else is, in Kyler's life, is also having to learn through the transition process. And one of the long-standing problems has been Kyler's relationship with his mother, and which is common with the families. The families split, you know, the people who are supportive and the people who are not supportive, and, you know, depending on the extent of religion, you're going to hell, or like all this complicated stuff.
My name is Donald Scmidt. I am a retired United Church of Canada minister. I have lived in Canada for about half my life and spent half my life in the United States, serving churches and writing, and yeah.
So my name is Keri Whelander. I serve as the minister at Oasis United Church.
Pros and cons of being gay in the church. Yeah. The church is a welcoming place in theory, and should be a welcoming place for everybody. So that aspect always felt sort of pro to me. I always thought, I have a place here because this is where everyone has a place. Having said that, my journey to ministry was rocky because the church said, yes, we do love you and we welcome everybody, but we have exceptions, and you're one of the exceptions.
Congregations, communities of faith, ministry personnel, all make choices around how they, what the foundation of their faith is. And there are certainly denominations and ministers, ministry personnel, who have chosen to believe that the greatest sin that one could ever engage in is to be two-spirit LGBTQ+.
I've written a total of 16 books. Most of them are Bible study for progressive Christians, for folks that might normally not engage in Bible study. Trying to challenge people to look at things that the Bible actually says rather than what tradition has always said that it says.
I see nothing in Jesus' teachings, in all that Jesus did, that we are aware of, that promoted hatred of two-spirit LGBTQ+ people. There is nothing. And in fact, the emphasis is on love. What are the greatest commandments? Love God, love your neighbor as yourself.
I was denied ordination in the United Church of Canada back in the 1980s because I was gay. Ironically, it was shortly before they changed the rules and said they could no longer use sexual orientation as a reason not to ordain someone. But at the time, I lost that. So I moved to the US and I joined a another denomination and just went back in the closet and got ordained. Interestingly, when I came back to Canada 8 years ago, I applied to regain my standing in the United Church of Canada, and they gave it to me. But then they also said, we need to apologize to you. And I said, I did the, oh no, you don't have to, it's okay. I've had a good life, everything's been awesome. And they said, no, we need to apologize because we did something wrong. And this group of people, I think there were 7 of them, including someone who had been the national leader of the United Church at one point, they all spoke, offering an apology. And I thought I didn't need it, but boy, it felt good. I was really amazed. I thought, yeah, thank you for telling me that you were wrong. Thank you for telling me that you should have welcomed me more. So that was powerful.
The congregation that I serve, Oasis United Church, is an affirming congregation. So a congregation that has determined that it wants to discern whether or not it will be an affirming congregation in the United Church of Canada has to go through a process of education and discernment.
Which means they'd studied issues about including the LGBTQ plus community in the life of the congregation and being vocal and public about saying, yes, we really do welcome you.
The Bible is a series of writings by human beings trying to express what it means to be in relationship with God. And it's been edited and translated, all kinds of things. So there's a kind of audacity to say, I know exactly what it all says.
When I see some of the hostility that is happening in the community at large against LGBTQ plus people, it really bugs me. It really bugs me because for most people, it's not based on anything other than, I don't like that.
There are misreadings, I believe. There's a willingness to take the scripture out of its context. So for instance, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that one gets referred to. The horrible thing that happens in this story is that the Middle Eastern value of hospitality to the stranger did not happen.
The famous Sodom and Gomorrah story, where the tradition has always said, a bunch of men went to Lot's house. They were going to rape the men that were visiting there. And Lot said, oh, golly, no, don't do that. Rape my daughters instead. Goodbye. It's a horrible story, except that's not what the story says.
A group of men came to be violent to the stranger that was being welcomed into the house of someone. And so this is a critique of people who are not hospitable to strangers. It's a critique of men, a mob gathering to do violence.
So we have this story that is essentially some men saying to their wives, hey, we're going to go over. We want to see these guys at Lot's house. Would you like to come with me? Bring the kids. I'm going, would someone say that when what we're going to do, by the way, is rape the guys? But do bring the kids and, we'll make a night of it. How stupid to think that story would, involve sex. It's about going and saying, basically, you've got these strangers staying in your house, and that concerns us because usually when strangers come to town, they want to take over. And that's the issue they want to address, is how do we welcome people who we think might try and destroy us? Not we want to get rid of them or not we want to rape them, but rather how do we allow you to stay in our community while assuring ourselves you're not going to destroy us? That's an interesting challenge for us as human beings. How do we welcome people who are different?
So for me, I have a deep sense of grief that people utilize Jesus as a reason to hate others. And I find it a misuse of Scripture.
With any community that we've been treating as a them, we have to take away that four-letter word, them, and figure out how to be an us. And it's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. It means giving up sometimes some of the things that we have. But we have to do that.
Love is actually a harder spiritual discipline than hate. I believe that hate is very easy as a reaction, a response. But the spirituality of love is a commitment, it's a discipline, and love can say it's not appropriate to harm people in God's name, to be violent to people in God's name. It's just not appropriate. It is not biblical. And that's why I say the spiritual discipline is really again and again saying, how am I responding to these things I'm learning and deepening in? And it's as simple as that. And we need to stop making it about harming people and hating people, because it's about love. It's about love.
When I see a flag, any of those flags, on the outside of a church building, my heart just goes, oh, good. Like they're willing to say to the world, yeah, you are welcome here.
And in a time that we're in, like now, division is kind of easy because there are a lot of people promoting division. So when I think about these kinds of really difficult divisions, I think that our only way through is to keep trying to work at the relationships, to keep cultivating those relationships, because I can throw fact after fact over. I can just load, facts into the conversation. There's this, there's this, there's this. But what we're really looking for is how to heal relationships. And the facts ultimately aren't going to heal the relationships.
I think I love it when people ask me questions. I think I wish they would do it differently. I want people to know, or to at least understand, that they're asking a personal question. That they're asking a question that, takes a lot to answer. I want to hear, hey, are you in the space to talk about this? Hey, I've got, maybe a prying question, and I want to know if you think you'd be okay with answering it. And if it's not okay, just tell me. Which you don't hear. People are blurting them out. People are so curious that they don't take the time to ask themselves a question first, which was, how would I feel being asked this question by someone I know this much?
It seems to always come back to me about how other people are receiving me, and I can't control that. And it's taken a long time for me to give myself permission to stop trying to do that work for people.
I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to see this person transition from who they don't feel comfortable with in themselves to who they do feel comfortable with.
Well, actually, I think right now, I'm the man I'd like to be. Because I'm still soft, and I'm still hard. I have a great heart, but I'm somewhat protective. And I think the reason I say that I'm happy with that is because when I look at myself, I feel proud of who I've become.
Yeah, that's probably all. Gender euphoria. I got my fucking tits lopped off, and now I can wear nail polish. An unexpected upside of a sudden weight off my chest. Sudden years in the making, 'cause I've been making do for years. And now every tread track is new, every t-shirt a glittering pinnacle of achievement, every hug closer to my heart.